in the midst of heavy stories where trauma and emotions collide, capturing raw, unfiltered moments of emotional breakdown shared on social media. I often found myself grappling with these stories mentally that are hard to shake. It has been an emotionally draining journey, one that required me to navigate the fine line between empathy and detachment. I found solace in the embrace of the ocean, the beach, my sanctuary, a place to clear my mind and regain my strength. With a heavy heart but resolve, we prepare to dive in the depths of consent together. Welcome to the vibrant city of Los Angeles, where stories unfold and truths are unveiled. I'm a documentary filmmaker passionate about shedding light on important social issues. Let's dive into the complex topic of sexual consent, a fundamental concept that shapes our intimate relationships and holds significant historical context. What does sexual consent truly mean? At its core, consent is the voluntary agreement and the active participation in any sexual activity between individuals. It is based on clear communication, respect, and the absence of coercion and manipulation. Cultural norms often overlook the significance of consent, perpetuating harmful power dynamics and inequalities. These dynamics were particularly prevalent in cases where individuals in positions of power exploited their influence. One glaring example of such abuse of power is the case of Harvey Weinstein. A prominent figure in the film industry, Weinstein's actions and subsequent revelations brought the issue of consent to the forefront of public discourse. I hope to foster conversations around consent. Together we can challenge societal norms, empower individuals, and promote healthy and respectful relationships. In busy urban settings, my thoughts often turn to the hidden struggles faced by countless women. Women who may feel unsafe at any moment, burdened by the looming threat of violence, harassment, or assault, whether sexual or otherwise. When women express their experience in discussions on this matter, men often respond with the phrase, "not all men." Additional talking points are raised, such as advising women to be cautious about their attire and suggesting they should avoid confronting men because an altercation may escalate to physical harm. This places a burden of responsibility solely on women to exercise self-control, while providing men with the excuse for behaving in an irrational manner.
I just find it funny when women say, "Oh, I can dress how I want." This don't mean that you can walk up and touch me. Yes, it does. How you behave is letting you know that I'm open for business.
Heck of dudes probably did way worse to her behind closed doors. She only acting like this because it was in public view and because of who it was that did it to her. I really don't understand because she disrespects herself on the internet, but get mad when a ninja do it?
While men will argue men face a greater risk of violence from other men, which is true, it doesn't change the fact when women do face violence, it's almost certainly by the hands of men.
So when I leave here, I'm about to get something to drink and I'm gonna go find somewhere to sit down. But he's only like a block away, so I'm gonna sit here until he texts me and then I'm gonna go meet him. So now I'm just waiting to get the text message from my friend Key-Ray, so I can go walk across the street, well, around the corner, to meet with him to talk about what consent means to him. And then after that, I gotta go meet with someone else. So I'm gonna try to knock out 2 interviews a day with 2 separate people, a part of the same LGBTQ community. I'm trying to get a perspective of everybody, you know, not just heterosexual relationships, but, you know, everybody. So, but yeah, I'm excited. It's one of my best friends. He works in the industry as well, so it's gonna be good because he's gonna have a perspective. I'll be able to relate with his perspective because since we work in the same industry, then I can, you know, understand, and I've encountered some of the things that he's encountered. Matter of fact, he just texted me, so he told me to meet him in about 15, so I'm just gonna walk around the block
out of your DM.
What up, bro?
What up?
Snuck up on you, huh?
Yeah, man. I was like, who just walking up on me? What's up?
How you feeling?
I'm good.
Yeah,
Chilling, man. You know, beautiful California weather.
Beautiful California weather. I know I just grabbed you from work, you know what I mean? So I appreciate you just stopping to talk to me real quick. You know, being one of my best friends all the way back from San Diego, I still honored to be your personal photographer. You know what I mean?
Got more work to do.
So I really wanted to talk to you about, you know, consent. You know, when it comes to just relationships, intimacy, sexual relationships, when we talk about consent, I know since I'm in film and you're a model and you are a fashion designer, I know you done had some experience that'll make you side-eye some people. So just tell me about some of your experiences.
Okay, so definitely within the industry, you know, you have a lot of people that want to act one way, but behind closed doors is something different.
Right.
But it's kind of like one of them things, it's kind of like an unspoken thing where when you see someone of an interest, it's kind of like that masculinity shelf starts to kind of come down a little bit. You start hearing inappropriate jokes, or, you know, they'll kind of want to start getting a little bit closer to you, or they start doing just different things that are just weird. Definitely I had one experience where it was kind of like a stylist who thought I was cute, where he was kind of, you know, styling me for a shoot. And, you know, he was kind of doing a little inappropriate things, you know, like, oh, you know, let me get your measurements real quick, and trying to go all up in the crotch area. And I'm like, okay, I take measurements myself. I know where you need to stop and where you need to kind of, you know, go. So I've kind of seen that, and just kind of when people start getting a little bit hypersexual or making these hypersexual comments and things, you're kind of like, okay, you know which way they're trying to go. And it's kind of like, you're either going to curve it or you're going to kind of lean into it and see what's up.
So like, when that type of stuff happens to you, do you end up working with that photographer or anybody or a stylist after that? Or do you speak up about it, or you just kind of like not try to ruffle feathers? Because we know in the industry, when you make someone mad, they kind of try to blackball you and stuff like that.
So with me, you know, what you see is what you get kind of with me. So it's clearly you can look at me and tell I'm a part of the LGBT, you know, Q community. So I'm a bold mother sucker too at the same time too, okay? Like, look, if you're gonna throw jokes, I'll throw jokes back too, you know? And It's either I'm going to be, like I said, you're either gonna lean into it or you're gonna kind of stop it. Of course, the person who was touching inappropriately, you kind of had to let them know, like, okay, you know, like, this ain't what it is, you know, I got a man, you know, and just kind of had to stop it right there. And kind of when I presented it to them, that's when you kind of noticed that it was kind of like, oh, like a deer in headlights, because it's like, oh, you're bringing it to the forefront, and it's kind of not this mysterious game, or it's kind of like DL discreet that a lot of these men like to play, like, oh, you know, how you doing today? And it's kind of like, no, type shit, you know? But with me, I'm bold, so I will always, you know, state my piece and say it. Now, however, the people that definitely have made me feel uncomfortable have not worked with them, you know, going further. Right. Now, the people who I have worked with, and, you know, they may have had a slip up, and I kind of had to let them know, and, you know, they were kind of like, okay, thank you for pointing it out. You know, we've had maybe another shoot or something else that we worked on, but other than that, it just kind of becomes a casual, like, okay, acquaintanceship type of thing, and I just kind of leave it there. But no, it is what it is, and the more interesting thing that it is within this community, and how everyone now wants to be a part of it, or you have, you know, this DL scene that's getting or growing even more, you know, than what it was back in the day. It's just very interesting to see how it is, you know, because, like it or not, Hollywood's gay, okay?
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say Hollywood's gay. So, you know, you have your masculinities, and you have, you know, your femmes, you have your in-betweens and everything of that nature. But it's just very interesting to see how the masculine on masculine concept is now kind of becoming even more of a thing, and how people will dismiss you based off of, you know, looks, approach, or whatever. So again, it goes off of your looks, it goes off your personality, that people may lean into it and be like, you looking cute in them jeans, what's up? You know?
They do be kind of bold out here,
and they be real bold out here, okay? So
yeah, that's crazy.
I do want to touch on, since you were speaking about, LGBTQI plus community. I probably didn't get all that correct, but
look, I be trying myself time. Look, these acronyms
trying.
now. I be like, I just keep it to LGBTQ plus. That's just.
So I'm just trying to, be, include everyone in the conversations that we having. Especially, I wanted to know, how do you feel when it comes to your safety? So when it comes to a heterosexual relationship, the woman has always seemed to be at a disadvantage when it comes to safety. But how is it when when you're in a same-sex relationship, when it's two men together? Do you feel that the society doesn't deem you or your safety as much of a concern because you are a man?
Yeah, the society really doesn't deem our safeties, and honestly, safety as time has gotten, grown and we've gotten, more and more advanced in technology and just with society and everything, safety has just become even more of a highlight when it comes to the gay community. Back in the days, you had it where it was just kind of like you had the hotlines, you had, maybe you had the bathhouses and you had, the parks and different things. But it's like now you have technology where it's kind of like you have these people that's on these apps, dating apps and different things where they're trying to act like they're gay for pay, or, they're trying to lure you in, and then you have people that's killing you, or, people that just are just being slick with it. So safety has definitely become a huge issue within the community, I feel, because it's just like a lot of people are taking more risks nowadays. Even, and I'm not even talking about sexual activities, I'm just talking about promiscuity. I guess that's the best way to say it. But just the way that they're getting nowadays it's crazy, because I'm just like, wow. And men nowadays, they're always sizing up their competition. And yeah, granted, let me not say sizing up their competition. Us as men, we're always going to view everyone, you feel me? Because at the end of the day, appearance is always going to give you away. It's always going to either make or break someone wanting to either pursue a conversation with you or walk the other way. So men are always going to be looking at you, whether it's the appearance, looking at your mannerisms, just looking at, how you present yourself, or even also too, just the company that you keep, So people are always looking at that. And also too, you have men nowadays that are in the gym. They're staying in the gym and they're working out, and they're going hard. And at the end of the day, sometimes people don't understand that we're men at the end of the day, So you have men that know how to fight and they know how to handle themselves.
Yeah, I know you like to tussle, so I know you got hands.
Like,
you know what
look,
I mean?
You ain't gonna step to me and think I'm just gonna bow, back down. No, it ain't gonna be that. But you actually have people that don't know that, and sometimes they don't learn until they're in a fight or flight type of situation, and either it can go for, one way successful, or it can go into fatality because of the way the situation is, And honestly, I feel like also tying that in with people's mental illness nowadays. We're not really touching on that as much as we are. Well, let me not say we are, because some people are opening the doors for that. But Black people and just gay people in general, like that mental illness connection.
We know in the Black community, it's not really much talked about, or it's not encouraged to go to therapy and, find out, the traumas. A lot of us, I'm gonna say a lot of people have a broken child within them. They might have had some trauma, and then now they're adults and they're still dealing with that because they weren't able to, close that chapter in their life and just get the closure behind it.
Exactly, and not everyone knows everyone's backstory. So it's like, sometimes you have these situations where people just start jumping into a relationship, or they just started jumping into this sexual situationship. And now, you guys are sitting there cracking the dozens, or you guys are sitting there having a conversation, and they may have said something that now is triggering you,
Right.
And now you guys are in a fight. Because at the end of the day, you guys are two men, so what you guys gonna do? You guys gonna end up fighting. You feel me?
Yeah.
And
there's
sometimes
still testosterone there. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And some people know when to kind of know their limits and know when to say, okay, you know what? I ain't gonna do this, or whatever the case is. And you just have some people that just snap, and they just going crazy. And now they're looking for weapons, or they may have a gun, or So it's all this extraness that people aren't really tapping into or having these conversations when it comes to the LGBTQ plus and their safety, and just overall how they're moving. So I feel like safety it's become a little bit more alarming, and not only just me being as a gay man, you have, the transsexuals who they're getting killed as well just for being them, or, they're going on their dates and whatever the case is, and something happens, So and you just have people in different states or even different countries who just by them being gay, it's a death sentence,
That's
so
true.
It's just gotten crazy over the years, and it just continues to just become a little bit more alarming. but I feel like the more open we become, the less safety we had. I feel like back in the day when it was more, discreet and it was a little bit more less eyes on us, there was more safety precautions into place at times. Even though some may argue and say it wasn't, but I feel like there was a little bit more safety. There was safety protocols that were into place. So I would say sometimes.
Got a final question for you because I know you got to get back. When it comes to society, because we know when it's same-sex relationships in the gay community, there tends to be the masculine and then the feminine presenting. Do you think that society doesn't hold those two men equal because they say, this guy's more feminine, so he's more weak? And then when this guy seems like he's more masculine, they feel that he's a stronger one. Do you think there's like that kind of optic with it?
That one I feel like goes 50-50 because in my relationships and overall, I'm looked at as a feminine gay black man, even though my appearance, people may look at me and be like, oh, okay, but overall I'm looked at as a feminine gay black man. So sometimes people may look at me and be like, I don't know about him, but at the end of the day, I'm still a man. I'm still going to hold my own. I'm still going to present myself as a man. So I feel like sometimes, yes, society may look at us like we're weak, but however, it's not until we're either pushed to that breaking point or we have to show ourselves that people are like, okay, he's still a man. But I feel like society does tend to play that sometimes, like the more masculine man is the more, like how they try to put it in the guy and the female, like he's a breadwinner. And it's like, no, we're both men at the end of the day. It's just one person may be a little bit more in tune with his intuitions, his emotions, just the way he likes to look. He may have one that's a little bit more rugged and just more masculine, and he likes to do, the yard work and all that other stuff. So it doesn't mean that just because one person likes something other that they're not a man, that, that they're not supposed to be on an equal scale, because at the end of the day, we're all men. We're still men. We just are attracted to men rather than being attracted to a female like how you would be.
So that makes sense. As far as consent and safety, what message would you give, people, part of your community? What advice would you give them about just, setting your boundaries and then just being safe and then understanding what consent means? What advice would you give people for that?
I need people to first understand what the hell the word consent means, which means overall two people need to be on the same page in order for something to progress forward, you feel me?
Right.
But I also need for my fellow brethrens, y'all need to start asking more questions when it comes to, these people that you're wanting to, get involved with or whatever the case is. And I feel like there's a lot of people out here that are just sucking and fucking, okay? We're just gonna call a spade a spade. They're just out here going off of looks, they're going off of personality, or just because someone's flashing something in front of them that there's like a kid in a candy store. And they're not fully having these conversations, and therefore when they then start getting into these sexual activities and now the guy's choking them or pulling their hair or doing something that they don't like, and now it's kind of like, well, you're too late in the situation. Like, the guy's already doing what he's doing, and some men, they'll continue to do what they're doing even though you told them not, you're asking them to stop or whatever. But I feel like we need to have these actual conversations
beforehand.
Exactly. You need to have these conversations of, okay, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that you like to do? What are your do's? What are your don'ts? What are your statuses,
Yeah. And
I feel like that's another conversation that within our community people aren't happy, which is, what's your status? What are you on? When's the last time you've been tested, So it's all that kind of plays into it. But I feel like people need to start having more conversations rather than just going off of, let me see your pic.
Yeah.
Okay, how big is it? Instead of asking those questions, ask the more realistic questions. Ask the questions that actually matter.
Right.
I would say.
Hey, I think you cleared it up for everybody so far.
I mean, I'm just giving my perspective, so. Hey, I don't even know if I shoot me down, but yeah, overall, that's just kind of how I feel, just the way I look at things, so.
Hey, I think everybody should listen to the advice that you gave. I'm going to be talking to a couple more other people, but I really wanted to focus on not just heterosexual relationships. I wanted to focus on everybody, and because there's a different perspective, and then everybody, like you say, don't understand or don't actually have the correct definition of what consent means.
Exactly.
And so that's what this whole thing is about, is just, you know, setting the boundaries and making everybody feel safe in these type of relationships, especially intimate relationships.
And I appreciate you for doing this, because it's like, you know, oftentimes a lot of people don't really have these conversations, or they don't fully go, you know, engulf themselves to kind of really understand it. So the fact that you're actually getting it from all different perspectives, I commend you on that. So
Appreciate
I thank
it.
you for letting me be a part of it and actually, you know, me out.
Say you like one of my best friends, bro. You know, like I say, we've been working together since San Diego, man. And now you up here, and now we just working on bigger projects together. So, like I say, I appreciate you. I'm gonna let you get back to work. I ain't gonna keep you. Cause you know.
I don't need these Karens on my ass now, brother. All right,
G.
All right, brother.
Remembering O'Shea Sibley. Tonight, the LGBTQ community pays tribute to the beloved dancer stabbed to death in what police call a hate crime.
Him, because he was gay, because he stood up for his friends.
O'Shea Sibley's loved ones insist his death was a hate crime, and police are investigating that as a possibility. His friend Otis Pena, who was with him the night he died, shares what happened in a Facebook video.
Just pumping gas and listening to Renaissance and just having a good time.
Sibley and their friends were at a gas station in Brooklyn, blasting Beyonce while voguing, a form of dance that imitates fashion models. In the surveillance video, you see a group of men come up. Witnesses say the men used gay slurs and told them to stop dancing. Later, police say the 17-year-old with the red shorts stabbed Sibley in the chest.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Two weeks after I did that interview with my best friend, Kirei, we're just speaking about, you know, how he feels about his safety in relationships and in safety in society, just being a gay man. And hearing his fears behind that. And then 2 weeks later, we have a gentleman by the name of O'Shea Sibley, who was murdered for being gay at a gas station with his friends, dancing, enjoying their time. The young man lost his life because he was gay and Vogue dancing. Homophobia is taking the lives of individuals. When does it stop? Just thinking about a lot of my friends who are part of the LGBTQIA+ community, I fear for their safety. You know, I can get that phone call one day and one of my friends' lives has been taken because of their sexuality, who they're hanging with, how they're dressed, and just by them dancing. I fear for that phone call. Black people, what are we doing? My people, what are we doing? We're so accepting to everyone else for doing the bare minimum, for being the ally, for just saying, I'm not racist, or doing some funny comedy skit about black people, and we immediately invite them to the cookout. But we can't accept our own people for being who they are. We can't accept them for being part of the LGBTQIA+ community. We just can't accept them. I don't understand why we can accept so many other people, but we can't accept our own people. What are we doing? When do we make a conscious decision to stop acting the way that we're acting? Where do we get this entitlement that we can judge anybody and we can judge everybody? We don't have the authority to do that. We don't have the authority to impose our views on other people and to tell people how they're living is wrong. It's a sickness. The harassment that the trans community gets, the harassment that the gay community gets. When do we change? Are y'all not tired?